Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 3rd March. The news items that we have picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 12. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, India to attend Lahore meet on Indus Water Treaty. So we've discussed about Indus Water Treaty quite often. It is the 1960 treaty between India and Pakistan on sharing of Indus water and its tributaries. Indus and its tributaries water. So Indus and its 5 tributaries. Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Bias and Satluj. If you look at it from north to south, Indus being at the top. So Indus, Jhelum and Chenab major usage is with Pakistan, and Ravi, Bias and Satluj fall with India. The major usage is with India, and there are run-of-the-river projects allowed on other rivers also, which belong to the other country. And this is a treaty brokered by World Bank. So World Bank brought the two countries together and brought this treaty in effect. So this treaty, under this treaty, whatever differences are there between the two countries, they are taken to this Permanent Indus Commission, which has been established. This Permanent Indus Commission meets annually, and this last meeting is the present meeting is being held in Lahore, and it will be in this month of March itself. So India and Pakistan are going to come together and attend this meeting of Indus Water Commission. So this has been confirmed that India is also attending, because India had changed its stance with respect to Indus Water Treaty post the Uri terror attacks. At that time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had given a statement that we have to reevaluate the Indus Water Treaty. So we need to a review of this treaty as such. So that had raised questions whether India was backtracking from this treaty, but now it has been cleared that the country stays together in the treaty, and we are going to attend this Permanent Indus Commission meeting. So that is there. So World Bank official is playing mediator in encouraging Pakistan to extend the invitation and for India to accept it. So that has been the development. So next annual round, which was last held in July 2016. So Permanent Indus Commission has its annual round, and last was in July 2016, post which it was said in Uri, after Uri attacks in September, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said review of Indus Water Treaty is required. So now it seems that the negotiations would take place. What is important is that Pakistan has raised objections to specifically two projects of India. These are Kishan Ganga and Ratle River projects. So construction of these projects have been objected to by Pakistan. So World Bank is going to constitute a court of arbitration to look into these complaints also. So that is regarding the two. We'll discuss where are these two projects also. So this was during the time of Uri terror attacks. So you can see 3 rivers are under Pakistan's controls: Indus, Jhelum, Chenab. Means hydropower, irrigation, storage can be done by Pakistan. This unilateral suspension of 1987 Tulbul navigation project will be reviewed. The project was suspended in 2007. So this was India's project, Tulbul navigation project, which was suspended because Pakistan objected to it. So this you can see the Indus Water Treaty signed in 1960 by Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and Pakistan President Ayub Khan. So these are the 6 rivers to be shared between the two countries. So then this is regarding the two projects being objected to. So these are hydroelectric projects in Jammu and Kashmir. So this Kishan Ganga project is in Bandipur on the river Kishan Ganga. Kishan Ganga is a tributary of Jhelum. So Indus, Jhelum, Chenab are with Pakistan. So it's a project on Jhelum, and its installed capacity is 330 megawatts plant. And court of arbitration was set up due to Pakistan's objection on this project in 2016. And the Ratle project, this is in Doda. So in Doda district in Jammu and Kashmir, it's on Chenab river. So this is Jhelum, Chenab. So Indus, Jhelum, Chenab with Pakistan. So that's why it is objecting. This is 850 megawatt installed capacity project, and construction of these dams would take place for this project. So this project will be commissioned in 2018, and to this too Pakistan has objected. Then the next news item is key SAARC post for Pakistan official. So this is again regarding the India-Pakistan relation post Uri terror attacks. So then we had also decided that we would not attend the SAARC summit, which was to be held in Islamabad. So the last SAARC chair was with Nepal. So summit was held in Nepal, Kathmandu. The next summit was planned for Islamabad. But since India opposed it, other countries also backtracked and the summit could not be held. So now again normalization is taking place, is evident. So presently, the post of Secretary General has gone to the Pakistan official. So this is as per the norms that since the summit is to be held in Islamabad, the Secretary General post also goes to a person from Pakistan. So this was backed by all members, including India. The selection was with consensus. So that is also significant. India also backed the Pakistani for the Secretary General post of SAC. So this is regarding that, the new chief. The name is not important for us. So that was what it is. That 19th SAC summit in Islamabad in November 2016 was opposed by India following the terror strike in Uri. So that did not take place only. So now normalization is taking place. SAC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. It comprises of 8 members. The latest member is Afghanistan. So these are the 8 members of SAC. It was founded in 1985. Later, Afghanistan has joined in 2005. So 7 are founding members. Afghanistan joined later. So areas of cooperation are many, everything: agriculture, education, culture, population, child welfare, environment, development, everything majorly comprises of C's. Tourism, transport, science and technology, communication. So we try to cooperate on these aspects amongst ourselves. These nations cooperate amongst themselves. SAC is not said to be very successful majorly because of differences between India and Pakistan. So we have not been able to achieve much. So SAC free trade agreement, SAFTA, has also been finalized. But since Pakistan, you must have known about this, and you should know that Pakistan, since it refuses to provide us MFN status, most favored nation status, so that SAFTA also is not effective enough. Other nations are not very, not among the developing also. They are less developed nations. So for them, there are concessions, but India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, these are 3 major nations here. So because of India-Pakistan relations not being normal, SAC functioning is also affected. So MFN status, you should know, most favored nation status, is a status under WTO, World Trade Organization. So when there are trade relations, so this should be, every other country should be MFN country. Means no other country should be more favored. All are most favored nations. So that's the idea, that nobody else should be more favored. So most means maximum. So if India, Pakistan have this most favored nation status accorded to each other, means no other country would be given better favors that way. So though this is SAFTA is not under WTO, WTO, World Trade Organization, wants trade relations or trade agreements amongst the entire members of WTO. Means entire world, global treaty. But then since global treaty is not easy to negotiate and come forward with, these regional organizations have regional treaties. So FTA here is called SAFTA, South Asian Free Trade Association or Agreement. The next news item is universities are places of debate, not violence, says President. So this is President Pranab Mukherjee who is speaking on this issue. He says that universities must engage in reasoned discussion and debate rather than propagate a culture of unrest. So this is specifically significant in context of the recent incident in Ramjas College of Delhi University. So here the members of ABVP, which is RSS affiliated student union. So this is Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, RSS and BJP affiliated. So it entered into this campus and created ruckus here because of a seminar which was being conducted here, and an invitee to this was the JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University student Umar Khalid. So he had earlier been implicated on charges of anti-nationalism, and that is why they created this issue here. In the process, the mob even attacked and resulted in injuries to a Delhi University professor as well. So such kind of actions are of course to be criticized. So he says, Pranab Mukherjee says that temples of learning must resound with intellectual exercises, free thinking and free exchanges and creativity. And there should be space for legitimate criticism and dissent in the country. So this violence is of course not to be tolerated. If there is criticism, it should be legitimate. It should be by speaking up. Dissent by speaking up, not by using violence. So he says that India was a world leader in the field of education when our universities like Nalanda and Takshashila were at the height of their glory. And they were not mere geographical expressions, but representations of the idea of a free thought, which flourished in these great universities of the past. So sedition, the charges of anti-nationalism which are generally put in, that it's not anti-government also, they call it anti-nationalism, because anything spoken up against the government is considered against India and it's considered as anti-national. So even if free thought, even if an idea is put forth, it's considered as anti-national. So there's no scope for debate then. So that is of course not to be tolerated. In this incident, even there was a girl from Delhi University whose father was a martyr, who said in the armed forces, she said that my father was killed by the guns and not by Pakistan. So this statement has a deeper meaning to it, but that was not understood. It was, she was attacked and trolled on the media by about speaking such statements. Even one actress had said that Pakistan is as a good a place to stay in like India or something like that. It's homely. So that was also not liked. So this negative feelings and criticism and intolerance is not to be tolerated. So that's what is being spoken of, that this intolerance and not having space for legitimate criticism also is questioned. So you have to have patience, understanding, debate it, and come to a conclusion rather than just attacking the other person and having closed minds. So that's what it is about. The next news item is rupees 70k crore in black money detected. Supreme Court appointed SIT. The Supreme Court appointed special investigation team on black money. It is headed by Justice M.B. Shah and its deputy chairman is Justice Arijit Prasad. Of course, they are retired judges. So this SIT has now disclosed that so far around 70,000 crore has been detected in black money and over 16,000 crore is by Indians stashing funds abroad. So this much amount of money has been detected. It's going to submit its interim report. This will be its 6th interim report to the Supreme Court. In the past 2 years, it has submitted 5 already and the 6th one will be done by April. So that is expected. So some proposals which have been put forth by SIT are considered. One of them has already been implemented, as we have seen. So one proposal which has been implemented is that any cash transaction beyond 3 lakh, this was their recommendation, should be treated as illegal and punishable under law. So present budget has made this announcement that you cannot have a cash transaction beyond rupees 3 lakh. And another proposal which SIT says that is under consideration by the government and is under serious consideration by the government, it says that holding of 15 lakh or above in cash should be presumed as undisclosed. So this is also being considered, that you cannot have 15 lakh of cash. So if that is amount of money is there with you in cash, means you have not undisclosed, if not disclosed it, it's undisclosed. That should be the presumption. Then it's onus on the person having it to prove that it has been disclosed. So this is also a provision so that black money can be eradicated from the country. So these are being put into effect. Then the next news item is no camps within 100 meter of Ganga, National Green Tribunal. So this is National Green Tribunal again making and putting forth an order on Ganga river, and it says that all camping activities which take place from Shivpuri to Rishikesh on the beaches along Ganga which fall within 100 meters of the river have to be prohibited. So here river rafting is one major component which does take place along this river on these beaches. Here it is called ecotourism. So ecotourism is a term which is used for tourism which is in this exotic natural environments where efforts are also made towards conservation of the nature. But then it is highly debatable because you are trying to conserve nature but you have been present over there in that fragile nature, and your activities like the tourists who visit there, the pollution which is happens because of the tourist presence is also an aspect which cannot be overlooked. So actually tourism activities bring in funds. The funds can be used for conservation. So that aspect is there, but then there should be a balance also, that you should not allow tourism to the extent that the environment itself is affected because of that activity. So that is what NGT order is all about, that it should not be within 100 meters of Ganga river. So here there are around 56 beaches, and out of these 33 beaches are recommended for camping. 23 beaches have not been recommended for camping, and of these 33 beaches also 3 fall outside 100 meters. So all others fall within 100 meters. Some are completely within 100 meters, some are partially within the 100 meters. So here where they're partially within 100 meters to those regions which fall within 100 meters of River Ganga, their activities would not be allowed, be it ecotourism, river rafting. Other regions, it would be allowed. So that is what the NGT order is all about. So if the region is within 100 meters, no activity should be undertaken in these regions to maintain or to preserve the fragile environment there. So this is to be implemented. And of course, NGT has also highlighted that the order is fine, but it all depends on the implementation. So how effectively this is implemented is to be looked into now. It also says that there are such evidences that people carry weapons here, drinks on the beaches, and even they raise permanent or concrete structures at the camping site. So these illegal and improper activities at camping sites result in pollution of River Ganga. So this has to be prohibited completely. So you can see the rules which have been put forth so that Ganga pollution does not take place. So no light allowed after 9 p.m. so that wildlife is not disturbed. Music in camps is prohibited. Toilets with dry pit tanks allowed to prevent pollution in the river. So dry pits are there so that pollution does not take place. Campfire allowed only on metallic plate and not beyond 11 p.m. because ash which is generated, that ash has to be deposited in dustbin. Use of detergents for washing also is banned. Fishing is prohibited. So these are the rules presently, but then the scenario is completely different. The loud music is played. People use various sources of illumination. Lighting is also there. Toilets are not more than 10 meters. Most toilets are not more than 10 meters from the sandbank when it's allowed 60 meters from the sandbank. So that all this actually is not followed. Tourists wash to fishing rods are also seen. So this is the status of implementation of the rule. So that's what NGT says, that we have put this order right now to that within 100 meters camping sites should not be there, but then it all depends on the implementation. So you can see 1996 there were just 2 camping sites, and in 1997 8, by 2016 6 there are 45. So there are large number of camping sites now along this region. Shivpuri to Rishikesh. You can see along the River Ganga. So let's see what happens with the implementation of this order of 100 meters limit of NGT. Then the next news item is respond to bar girls' plea. Supreme Court tells Maharashtra. So this is regarding the Maharashtra government's act which has recently been passed, and the bar girls here have approached the Supreme Court challenging this new act of the state government. So this is this Maharashtra prohibition of obscene dance in hotels, restaurants and bar rooms and protection of dignity of women working there in Act of 2016. So these bar girls have alleged in the Supreme Court that the government through this act legislation is trying to vilify their profession and criminalize women working for a livelihood. So vilify means degrading their profession as such. So the act actually defines obscene dance. So obscene dance, it says, consists of a sexual act, lascivious movements, gestures for the purpose of sexual proposition or indicating availability of sexual access to the dancer, or in the course of which the dancer exposes his or her genitals, or if a female is topless. So as long as it's a dance for the sake of it, then it is fine. But if it is a dance which is culminating later into this invitation for sexual pleasure, then this is to be prohibited. So that is the intent of the act. But then the bar girls here are saying that this term lascivious movements which is used here, it's vague, not clearly defined. So here the establishment means the police forces here and the authorities here have their own whims and fancies to crack down on them. So that gives them power because they can define anything as lascivious movement and take them to the task. So this aspect is being criticized here, because if there's clear evidence that clearly something has happened, you take action against the bar dancer or the people involved therein. But if not, then just for the sake of these terminologies which are used, vague terminologies, there should not be any harassment to any person. So that is what is being protested against, and this is the case which has come before the Supreme Court. So we'll have to wait and watch. The hearing of these petitions has already started. So we'll see. Even there are already hearings taking place, because even Indian Hotel and Restaurant Association has challenged the constitutional validity of this Maharashtra Government's Act of 2016 on other provisions. So we'll see what happens on this matter further too. The next news item is a weapon locating radar for the army. So this is a weapon locating radar which has been indigenously developed by Indian organization DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization. So this WLR, weapon locating radar, is called Swati. So it has been formally handed over to the army now, and DRDO officials said that this Swati has the capability of providing quick, automatic and accurate location of all enemy weapons like mortars, shells, rockets firing within its effective zone of coverage, and it can handle simultaneously multiple projectiles fired from different weapons at different locations too. So this is the capability of this weapon locating radar Swati. So this WLR earlier were imported from USA. So in 2002 we had imported them post the Kargil conflict. So this was to be fill our critical needs then, but now we have Swati which has a range of 50 kilometers. So all artillery guns presently in service worldwide are under its coverage. So that is this system Swati. 4 systems are currently in operation and another 30 are on order from the army. And defense minister says that this has capability of export also. So there is export potential, and export may also take place after the army's requirements are fulfilled. So this Swati is presently in use. Also another aspect was DRDO also handed over nuclear, biological and chemical recce vehicle, and NBC means nuclear, biological, chemical treatment drugs to the army. So recce vehicle means it does a recce to see what is the status, whether there are any chemicals or not. So that and treatment drugs for on these aspects have also been handed over to the army. The next news item is Kalvari test fires anti-ship missile. So this Kalvari is the first of the Scorpion submarines which have been built in India. So Scorpion has been sourced from France, and we are building our own Scorpion submarines, and they have been named, given Indian names. So this Kalvari is the first one amongst these. So this successfully conducted its maiden test firing, means first test firing of an anti-ship missile in the Arabian Sea. So this was a success. So it will be scheduled, and it is scheduled to be commissioned in the Navy soon. But one thing is, this submarine still does not have its heavyweight torpedo, which is the primary weapon for this submarine. So this is in use presently. Presently, the anti-ship missile which it test fired was French SM-39 Exocet. So this was the missile test fired. It actually needs heavyweight torpedo, which will be also inducted and later commissioned into the Navy. The submarine would be commissioned. The next news item is Sri Lanka to co-sponsor UN resolution. So this is regarding Sri Lanka, which is preparing to co-sponsor UN resolution at the Human Rights Council, UN Human Rights Council session. So this is a resolution which will seek more time for Sri Lanka to fulfill its obligations which it had agreed to in 2015. So in this 18 months time frame, it has not been able to fulfill these obligations, and it wants more time because it is seen that the Sri Lanka, we have also seen that it is trying to amend its constitution, and for that purpose, it is trying to bring all major political parties together. There were tripartite meets also we had seen recently with the leader of the opposition, the president and the prime minister of the country, which are from different political parties, all three. So they had come together to have discussions to even out the differences so that a resolution can be passed and the constitution specifically can be amended. So that has not been successful is clear, because now Sri Lankan government is seeking more time. So this actually resolution and constitutional amendment, everything is linked to giving rights to the minorities here. So that is the Tamil minority. So after the LTTE got eliminated, the civil war ended, there is a need for rehabilitation, reconciliation efforts taking place, and for this purpose it is required that accountability is also ensured. So the resolution which had also passed, the Sri Lankan government had assured international community that there will be 4-pillar approach used. So these 4 pillars were to address. One is truth, reconciliation, accountability and non-recurrence. That same issue will not come up again. So these 4 aspects have to be ensured. That truth should come out. So the Truth Reconciliation Committee was also set up by the Sri Lankan government, but the Tamil minorities here are not satisfied. That is clearly evident. They say these major Tamil political alliance parties, they say that they are disappointed with the government's failure to fulfill its obligations in the last 18 months. Also, attempts to draft a new constitution have hit a roadblock. There is no adequate consensus here too. So how will this implementation take place? Also, you should remember India's relation here with Sri Lanka. So Indo-Sri Lanka Accord, which was signed during Rajiv Gandhi's time, this actually became the reason for assassination of Rajiv Gandhi by Tamil militants from LTT. So they affiliated people here assassinated Rajiv Gandhi too. So here India had interfered in the Sri Lankan issue, trying to bring in or resolve the problem between the two communities, the Tamil minorities here and the Sri Lankan government here. But then it did not succeed. LTT refused to give up arms, and rather India got indulged in a war with LTT. So it completely backfired. It did not succeed. And also the Sri Lankan government had assured that the political aspirations of these Tamil minorities would be taken into consideration. So the northern and the eastern provinces, where they are majorly present, that was expected to be given, federal form should be established. These provinces should be given autonomy to some extent, was ensured. A constitutional amendment in Sri Lanka was also done for the purpose, but then it has not been put into effect yet. So these concerns are also still there. The next news item is GST levy may go up to 40%. Four-step slab structure to remain. So this is the recent GST Council meet in which it has been decided that the GST limit, which has been proposed, earlier it was proposed to at 14%, it has to be raised to 20%. So this is the bill which will be passed by the parliament. So this bill, Goods and Services Tax Bill, a constitutional amendment bill, has already been passed. So this GST bill which will be passed, it was not exceeding 14%, which was mentioned in this, the tax rate maximum. Now it will be not exceeding 20%. So this change has been done not for any provision to be changed so far agreed by the GST Council right now, but this is being done for future. That in future, if there is any need for increasing the tax rate, then there should not be a need to amend this bill, which is the Lok Sabha, means central government bill. It should be passed by the parliament. So an amendment will be required by the parliament. So to ensure that such a need does not arise, this limit has been extended. That has been decided at the GST Council meet. So this will be proposed as an amendment to this bill and put into effect. So earlier GST Council had decided there will be 4 slabs rate structure. So for GST there will be 4 different rates: 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%. So this has been agreed upon in 2016 itself, and this remains. The peak rate here also will not change. The peak rate will remain at 28%. So this is actually 28% means 14%. So max not exceeding 14%. So central government, central GST and state GST, both are 14. So that's what it makes it 28. So this maximum rate of tax under the new regime presently, 14% means maximum it can go up to 28%. So this will be there. So it will be 28% only, but then maximum 40% is also possible if there is such a need later. Presently, there is no 40% tax as such. So that is what the change has been done presently. So there will be central GST, state GST, which will be levied as such. So all these bills are also required, means model GST bill, central GST, state GST, and union territories GST bill would be finalized by the center, states, and union territories respectively, based on this model GST law which has been finalized. So let's wait and watch what happens further on this. Also, 2 aspects on which work needs to be done is deciding which goods should fall under which tax bracket. So the 4 tax slabs have been decided. So which goods should fall under which tax slab, that would be finalized too now, means that would be done by the central and state officials, and then the GST Council will finally approve it. So this will be done, and also to decide that the goods and services which would attract a cess. So there's a cess also proposed. This cess will be on top of the peak rates also, maximum rate of 28% on top of that. So this is to create a corpus, a fund which will be used to compensate states for any loss of revenue which takes place within 5 years, first 5 years of the implementation of GST. So this cess, on which goods and services to impose this cess, and cess will be only on the goods which will be in the topmost slab, the peak rate slab, that is presently 28% slab. So which goods would have cess imposed will also be finalized. So this work needs to be done. This will be finalized, and finally GST is proposed to be put into effect by July 1. So this is the fresh deadline which center has put for itself. Earlier it was beginning of the financial year, but that did not turn out to be possible. So now the deadline is 1st July of 2017. Then the next news item is public procurement needs to be opened up. So public procurement, basically public means government. not people. So procurement by governments, its agencies for their own consumption and not for commercial resale. So this public procurement in India is around 30% of the GDP. And sectors such as defense, railways, and telecom have a major proportion of this public procurement, and it is expected that this should increase. So recent Competition Commission of India order, which we had also discussed in news, that penalties were imposed on some cement companies because of rigging bids for supply of cement to the government. So cement is being provided to the government, means the bidding would take place, and in this bidding the cement companies themselves come together and try to have a minimum threshold that will not go below this. So the government actually, which is beyond what is reasonable. So then the government suffers. So these aspects are also there, which are highlighted, and penalties are imposed by Competition Commission of India. So any anti-competition provisions have to be regulated. Even recently we had discussed this in news also when it came up, that Indian Railways had also had floated tenders for brushless DC fans, and for these the companies which had come forth, they had rigged the bidding. So this also had come forth, and CCI, Competition Commission of India, had put regulatory orders in place against them. So these aspects are also there. So this collusive bidding means the people from the same sector, means all those who are going to bid. So all those actually are competitors, but they come together and they bid in such a way that the user, which is in this case the government, suffers. So this is a very serious concern and has to be looked into. And CCI, Competition Commission of India, CCI, has a prominent role to play here. Cartelization also, you should know, forming a cartel means all those who are the sellers come together and form a cartel, and they decide we will not sell below this value. So all of them benefit coming together, and the user actually suffers. So such cartelization and collusive bidding are serious concerns is highlighted here. Then the next news item is Sweden to reintroduce conscription after 6 years. So this is regarding Sweden, a European country. Here it has decided to reintroduce compulsory military service. So conscription basically means compulsory military service. So this is there in various countries like Israel also. So the youth here have to compulsorily go for military service and serve some time frame, and then they are inducted into the armed forces based on various aspects, whether they are committed or not to. But then compulsory military service has to be there. So Sweden had this provision till 2010, but it ended this conscription in 2010. And now after 6 years, again, it is planning to reintroduce this conscription, because it says that the global security challenges, including from Russia, demand that it should bring in conscription now. So now for this, what would happen is that all Swedes, the youths here who are born after 1999, will have to undergo this conscription. So this will result in mobilization of forces for the Army of Sweden, military force of Sweden. So we'll see how does this take place too. And Sweden, you should know, is not a NATO member, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So this is an treaty organization comprising of USA and European countries. So this is across the Atlantic. So these countries here have signed, who are members of NATO, means any one of these countries attacked means NATO is attacked, means USA and all these countries will come back it. So that was NATO and Warsaw Pact, in which Russia led. So these were the two groupings, military alliances during the Cold War period. India refused to be part of either of the two, and many developing countries for that matter. So those became non-aligned countries. NAM, non-alignment, is the third group here, who are refusing to align with either of the two. So NATO and Warsaw were two major military pacts. So these NATO members here, Sweden is not a NATO member. So, but it has signed a Partnership for Peace program. So this is under NATO. So this was launched in 1994, means military cooperation between NATO and non-member countries is also possible. So that has been signed by Sweden. So now it has concerns because Russia is asserting itself, and you can see Sweden lies here in between Norway, Sweden and Finland. So Finland has border with Russia. This is Russia. This is Sweden. This is Norway, a member of NATO. Sweden is here. So here Sweden says it has threats from Russia. So that is why it is bringing in conscription again. So NATO, formed in 1949, has 28 members, which are shown here. So the increased military activity of Russia and Northern Europe is creating threat for them. That is why they are stepping up their military cooperation with USA also now. So they are called Nordic countries. So these are the Nordic countries, and also they are called Baltic. So Baltic Sea is here. So Baltic region here in Sweden. So this is regarding NATO. You can see the members here. So that is it. These are the news items. Thank you.